Hi there, Linda from Let's Talk Prepping. And there's so much going on in the world today. Are you ready for what's coming? Do you even know what's coming? I guess none of us really know what's coming, but are you staying abreast of what's happening in the world? Because what's happening in the world is going to affect us here. There's no getting around that. So I thought today we'd just go look at some of the things that are happening in the world, and you can make a decision on how it's going to affect you or not affect you and what you can do about it. So let's go look. We're over here at patriotpost.us, patriotpost.us, and it says, today's mob vandalism brought to you by the Democrats. And we've heard of this where they ransacked a store in Philadelphia Monday night and how bad it was, and nobody really cared, and dozens of rampaging youths trashed a Wawa convenience store. So we have that. We have crime. We have crime getting worse. So do you know what's coming? Probably more crime. This next one, though, this is from thepostmillennial.com, thepostmillennial.com. And again, it's today's date, Canadian news. Trudeau government allows China to open police stations in Canada to monitor Chinese nationals. So what they've done is they have allowed China to open these little police stations in Canada, and they're going to monitor Chinese nationals. When is it coming to the U.S.? Think about that. And they're set up dozens of overseas service stations in order to police Chinese nationals living abroad, including 3 such facilities in Toronto. And if you go down here, you'll see that they're nearly invisible to the public. One is in a private home, another one in a Chinese mall, and a third one in a Chinese nonprofit. And China defended the practice of setting up what are essentially police stations in other countries. So we have that going on. We've got China in Canada. Is China in the U.S.? Of course they are. From shtfplan.com, U.S. is facing a natural gas shortage, and we do know this, like Germany is facing one, and so is the U.S. Natural gas prices in the U.S., it looks likely that prices both home and abroad will spike this winter, according to oil price. With the winter season around the corner in both Europe and the United States, with a lot of people in both places using gas for heating, the price outlook for gas does not look good from a consumer's perspective. And that would be us, the consumer's perspective. So if you can, try to get a wood stove or some other method of heating your home for the winter. And this is naturalnews.com. Dozens of researchers from top U.S. nuclear facility now working for communist China. So we've got the Chinese in Canada. Now we've got researchers from nuclear facilities working for China. The strategic intelligence firm Strider Technology noted that 162 scientists and researchers who worked at the Los Alamos National Laboratory have been recruited by the Chinese communists to work on their Beijing military programs. And we know the Russian pipelines in the Baltic Sea were blowing up. Who benefits from that? Lots of speculation on who's going to benefit, who did it. But if we go down here, we see, in response to Europe's energy crisis, Putin said on September 17th, if Europe wants to solve the issue, it can ignore U.S. orders and open the Nord Stream 2 pipeline. Just push the button and everything will get going, Putin said. Instead, someone bombed it. So we have no idea who, but lots of speculation on who. And then Biden said if Russia invades, there will be no longer a Nord Stream 2. We will bring it to an end. So is that telling you we did it? I don't know. But how will you do that exactly? Since the project is in Germany's control, Biden, I promise you, will be able to do that. So what does that mean? It means war is closer than ever. That's what it means. So are you ready for what's coming if a war with the U.S. is coming? And then AmericanGreatness.com. It's amgreatness.com, but it's American Greatness. The world wants no part of woke, but it's glad we do. And this is really an interesting article if you want to go through it. amgreatness.com. But they say the military is less eager to explain why the U.S. met utter humiliation in Afghanistan and why it has only met 50% of its scheduled recruitment targets. Few dare to attribute declining morale, inept strategic thinking, and anemic recruitments to the stereotyping and targeting of middle-class white males. If we go down here, we see our enemies abroad, particularly China, Iran, North Korea, and Russia, are watching all this woke comic madness with absolute glee. They're delighted the United States is diverting trillions of dollars and man-hours away from the production to ideological witch hunts. Woke cannibalism, green virtue signaling, spendthrift consumption, racial and gender fixations, warped science, suicidal surveillance, and commissariat indoctrination. Woke means Americans have less money, labor, time to hone their military readiness. All the reasons why America will no longer dominate the world. Most analysts do not believe that being woke translates into more accurate missiles, more lethal infantrymen, more efficient industrial production, better medicine, cheaper and more plentiful energy, a more united, cohesive population, and a higher standard of living. So our unwoke adversaries certainly want us to stay woke. China can likely sink any $12 billion American aircraft carrier and its 5,000 diverse they-them crew that dares to venture into the Taiwan Strait. Beijing already produces 90% of the U.S. antibiotics and nearly as large a percentage of our key vitamins and painkillers. So, how is this going to affect you if something happens and there's a war with China? I'd advise you to stock up on antibiotics if you can, your medicines if you can, vitamins, painkillers, and anything you might need. And again, American Greatness, amgreatness.com. After the coming winter of discontent, Putin either goes nuclear or dies. Our leaders have chosen to make war on Russia through Ukraine. We must now prepare for the consequences of those decisions while we can. And basically what he's saying here is that if Putin feels he is losing, what he's going to do then is go nuclear. That's what they're saying. If he feels he's losing, because he has to save face and he doesn't want to be overthrown, so he will go nuclear. It says, it isn't just Western analysts who claim Putin's personal and political survival depend upon success in Ukraine. One of the most influential thinkers on the Russian imperialist right has made similar predictions. He predicted that Putin's regime would be taken down by the Ukraine war, but he argued his replacement should be an even more strong man who would finish the war with Ukraine by any means necessary. So for those of you hoping that we get rid of Putin, that might not be what we want if they put in another strong man. And again, from amgreatness.com, parental authority is the basis of civilization. When parents don't rule the home, chaos will rule society, and chaos always breeds tyranny. So this is an interesting essay on the family, the parental authority, and how we need it and how it's declining in America. I would say it's already declined, not declining. So they're advocating for strong parents. And I can tell you, I'm 75 and My parents, we obeyed them. It was just no question about it. You didn't question them. They told you to do something and you did it. And if you didn't, you got punished. Simple as that. And I'd say our generation turned out okay. And then in naturalnews.com, British banks prepare for possible winter blackouts, suggests revival of lockdown policy to safeguard energy supplies. And because they're going to have energy problems there and in the U.S., they might do lockdowns to save energy. Because banks in Europe are preparing to cut power usage, which then means you won't be able to go to the bank. So that would affect many people in Britain, and it would also affect us if it happens here. And then the gatewaypundit.com, United Nations food chief warns of chaos, hell, and widespread food shortages next year. The world is facing a perfect storm on top of a perfect storm. And this is today's date, September 28th. The food chief is urging the public to prepare for famine and widespread food shortages next year amid a severe fertilizer supply shortage. And you know, now that this pipeline is shut down pretty much for good, the natural gas can't be used to make ammonia, which is used in fertilizer. He says it's a perfect storm on top of a perfect storm with the fertilizer crisis we're facing right now, with droughts we're facing, and food pricing problems in 2022. This created havoc around the world. If we don't get on top of this quickly, and I don't mean next year, I mean this year, you will have food availability problems in 2023, and that's going to be hell. Currently, the world produces enough food to feed over 7.7 billion people, but maintaining an adequate amount of fertilizer and farmers is crucial to producing at least 50% of that food. We've got to get those fertilizers moving. We've got to move it quickly, he said. Asian rice production is at a critical stage right now. Seeds are in the ground. The droughts and heat are disrupting food security in Central America, South America, India, and Africa. And of course, we have the drought in the western U.S. So this is what's going on in the world today, and how is it going to affect you? Well, a worldwide food shortage will certainly affect us. How bad would it be in the United States? Maybe not as bad as it's going to be in the other countries, but with the rising prices and everything. So all of these things are going on in the world today. Stop, think about them, decide if they're going to affect you, and if they are, what you can do about them. What that means is, can you go out and buy more food? Can you get something and if you're using natural gas, can you supplement that somehow? Maybe you can get a wood-burning stove, although I know they want to eliminate wood-burning stoves eventually. So we have all of this going on. The Chinese coming into Canada, will they soon be coming in the U.S.? Maybe through California. California probably would be very open to them. We've got all the vandalism, all the crime that's going on in the world. So prepare yourself. Do what you have to do to get ready. Thanks for watching. Leave us a comment. I hope to see you in the next video.